Okay, so we continue and discuss the two processes that are involved in the ecosystem. So in the ecosystem, we discovered there are certain terms, or rather phrases that you're supposed to be familiar with, and these are what we call the food chain and the food web. So as we all know, a web like that one that finds cobwebs, yeah, it's a stretch of a lot of things. So that's where the concept actually came from. So the word food web was actually going from that. And of course, a chain, a food chain is just like a sequence. So we're saying by definition that a food chain is a sequence of feeding relationships that begins with producers and involve at least three organisms. So not two, at least three organisms. That's when you can have a food chain. But it doesn't mean that you should just have three organisms. It can be three or more, but not less than three. Then the feeding level of an organism in a food chain is called a trophic level. Okay, so earlier we had discussed the producers, then the primary consumers. From the primary consumers, we had the secondary consumers, the tertiary consumers. So it means that the producers are occupying the first trophic level, and then the primary consumers occupy the second trophic level, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's how it goes. So you will as well discover that in a food chain, the organisms are linked by a series of arrows. Okay, so here this is an arrow saying this rabbit eats this one, and the rabbit is eaten by man. Okay, so a series of arrows which always point towards the organism that is feeding on another. Right, so that's about it. A food chain. Now, you discover that the energy that is available at each trophic level, okay, that is passed to this one is only 10%. Okay, so 10% goes to the rabbit, and this 10% goes there, and then 10% goes there, right? Then the rest of the energy is used by a process of respiration, excretion, and these other processes that living organisms actually carry out. Okay, so you discovered most of the energy, which is 90% of the energy, is released by the process of respiration, excretion, and we can also say digestion. Right. So this is something that we have to take note of. So the energy that is just available here at the cabbage level for a rabbit to be able to use it by itself is just 10%. Okay? As for this reason, you discover that it's hard to find that you have a food chain which is above the tertiary level, in the sense that by the time you reach at the tertiary level, there is little amount of energy to be used by the next trophic level. And that's why we only reach up to the tertiary energy level. Right? Hope that's clear. Now, on the other hand, let's understand what a food web is, and we're saying it's just a group of interlinked food chains. Right, so this is an example that we have. So we discovered cabbage can be eaten by man, man can be eaten by a lion, and a lion can be eaten by a vulture. Right, now, taking another path, we can say cabbage can be eaten by a rabbit, and the rabbit can be eaten by a vulture. Alright, now let's take another route again. It's quite interesting. Cabbage can be eaten by rabbit, rabbit by man, man by a lion, and finally a vulture. Or we can say cabbage can be eaten by rabbit, rabbit can be eaten by a lion, lion can be eaten by a vulture. Alright, so these are a lot of food chains linked together due to the interactions, rather the feeding relationships that coexist between these organisms in the ecosystem. Alright, so we have several food chains that are coming up together to make what we call a food web. Thank you for watching. Otherwise, make sure you like, comment, and share our videos to the people that can find them beneficial. Peace.